So in the article I researched, we looked at connection hemichannels. And what hemichannels are is they're essentially a gap junction, which is a gate-like barrier in the organism that restricts entry to other substances outside the body. And once it sees the correct substance or voltage, it will open up and allow it to cross the membrane. So what we saw is that in these hemichannels there was a gain of function with a mutation. So there's something that wasn't normally in the organism, and this mutation caused a gain of function. Essentially, what that is it had an advancement in the living organism that isn't normally found. So in this case, when there was no calcium present outside of the cell, the system would still depolarize and send, the channel would open up and the substance or the voltage would go across the channel. So this was seen as a gain of function because, you don't need calcium for the action potential to still cross the membrane. But what we found out was even with this gain of function, there came a loss of function that the system was no longer able to sense CO2, carbon dioxide. Without CO2, without sensing CO2, we are unable to see ATP be produced as well. And what ATP does is it pretty much produces all the energy in our body, so without it, we would not be able to live our daily lives. So because of this overbearing loss of function, the connection hemichannel mutation was actually detrimental to the organism. They weren't able to live into adulthood because, without this ATP, they couldn't produce enough to live daily lives, they would have breathing problems, respiratory issues, and they just weren't able to sustain their lives normal like a normal organism would.